Good evening, guys, and thank you very much for tuning in to this, what I call the new stage of the Gentleman Talk Show. So, for the past month and a half, I've kind of drifted away from podcasting just because of family matters and certain things that came up. Um, but all this to say, it was a good thing. Um, as my previous episodes, I was talking about how important a gentleman is to society and exactly what that gentleman is. And which was good. Don't get me wrong, it was something good for me. It was something good for the people to know. But then, as I was talking to a friend of mine, I kind of decided to change it up a bit. The Gentleman Talk Show will still have the essence of the cigars, the whiskey, the way of dressing, but I'd like to take it towards a different direction, which is more to talk about men, about us, the struggles that we go through, the the things that we can't say to anyone, the thoughts that go through our minds, the stress, the doubts, the depression, the anxiety, everything. Because as a father of one and another one on the way, and a husband to a beautiful wife, I have my own struggles, right? And it's very difficult for me to kind of express that to my wife, to express it to almost anyone actually. And it's something that I kind of came up with just because I didn't want anyone else to go through what I'm going through, which is stress, and it's causing me lack of sleep. It's causing me to kind of lose hope in things, right? But that hope, at least it hasn't vanished. It hasn't gone away. I still have it, but I do have my fights, my battles that I with my demons and everything that's going on, and it's very difficult. So as I was talking to this friend, I kind of, well, that person told me that it would be a good idea to kind of speak about it because not many of us men talk about what we go through. And so, as I pondered on it for about a month and a half, I decided to move on with it, to actually go through with it and get this done. So the name will stay the same, but it will be a talk show. I have a co-host who unfortunately couldn't make it onto the to this episode, but I decided to go on without him just to kind of present what the show will be. Okay, so we will be talking about men, what we go through, husbands, single men, uh, guys who are trying to discern what step to take in life, the not to give up, the goals they have, the dreams, um, and not to be let down, right? So we want to be the voice for those men, to be to voice it out. It's something very difficult, something not many people do. All these podcasters, yeah, it's great that they encourage us to fight, to be the best version of ourselves. It's true. We need to get there. We need to discipline ourselves. We need to fight our thoughts, discipline our thoughts to be who we want to be and fight to be there. And it's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. We need the pep talk. But the reality of it is that most of us need to air out in order to make it to that. Because if we don't, we will struggle, and it'll be a great struggle. Some of us have to go through depression. Some of us have to go through anxiety. But fighting through all that, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is that we're going to struggle to get there when there's an easier way to reach that goal, right? By talking about it, by expressing ourselves. In a previous podcast that I have, I was speaking about journaling. That's another way that we can do it. But that's a topic for something, for a future episode. I kind of just wanted to come on here and one, express what the show will be about now, and two, to kind of give you a new way of podcasting, which is spontaneous. There there will be a topic. It's gonna be, let's say one day it's gonna be on anxiety, but not necessarily. It's not going to be script. It's going to be a conversation between me and the co-host. We'll be talking about that topic, and wherever that conversation leads us, it it's going to be kind of like a Joe Rogan esque sort of podcast where it's just a conversation, but we're going to stick to us men. I'm going to, of course, a whole bunch of things are involved, right? Family, uh, career, business, faith. As you can tell, even politics. If we have to get that far, then we will, because we need to voice all the problems that we men struggle with, and a lot of the times we're influenced through social media, through politics. Uh, Even our faith sometimes has confuses us, because how is it that this person believes this and I believe this? Which one is true? Which one's right? Which way do I go? And then business. A lot of us men have the initiative to create our own business, to be our own boss. For example, I actually wanted to start my own business so I could spend time with my family, something I risked to do in order to spend more time with my family. And I'll touch on that later on. But the podcast will just be spontaneous. I'm not going to record myself with a script or bullet points to keep myself in chronological order. I'm not going to do that. I believe that's very robotic. Although it is professional, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. It's just not me. I'm a person who loves to be spontaneous. I love to conversate, but the conversation a lot of times just takes me from point A to straight to Z, just in random. But it keeps a conversation going. It flows. So that's the way we're gonna do it. And then hopefully next episode you'll get to meet my co-host. His name is John. He's from Houston. I'm currently in Dallas. We're Texans. So hopefully he'll be able to join me next episode. He just felt sick. But like I said, a spontaneous podcast filled with manly things to voice out the problems that us men go through daily. Now, let me touch on something, okay? So I started watching these podcasts, such George Janko's one of them, Joe Rogan, of course, and I just started following Sean Ryan, the Sean Ryan show, right? And something that touched me about his podcast and way of doing the podcast was that he pretty much just spoke out of his heart. You know, he really didn't script much of it or at all. And another one, I'm Hispanic, so I speak Spanish. And I follow this one guy who's, I guess he's a motivational speaker. I'm not sure what he really is, but something to do with a motivational speaker. He's if you're into soccer, especially Mexicans, we all know who Chicharito is, and he's pretty much his. I wouldn't say his mentor, but he is his life coach. There you go. He's a life coach, and I love the way he does his podcast, which is very spontaneous. I mean, of course, his style, right? He talks about um, pretty much being a wimp, right? Not being a wimp, being someone strong, trying uh, discipline and all these other things. But anyways, and I like that. That he was very spontaneous. He would just turn on the camera and he would start. And if you'd like to check his podcast out, his name is Diego Dreyfus. Um, and it's a good podcast. I enjoy it very much, but I also enjoy Joe Rogan's, Sean Ryan's, and many others. Uh, I'm also Catholic, and I love to hear Catholic podcasts as well. But all this to say, see how I go from point A to point EFG. Um, all this to say that I want this podcast to be the same way. Of course, when I'm in a conversation with someone, it's going to be a bit different. I'm gonna be a little bit more chronological in that way. So, pretty much having someone else, a co-host in this case, will keep me chronologically, chronological. Um, and I'm gonna work on the ums, of course. But the reason another reason for it is because I kind of want to show you that it's not easy to create a podcast. It's not easy as many people think it is. I was one of those people. I always wanted to podcast, but it was very difficult for me to do it because for some reason I just thought it was easy. It was something you just turn on the microphone, turn on the camera, and you start talking, and that was it. But then once I created my first podcast, mm, it was difficult. It was very difficult. But I fell in love with podcasting. Then I switched up the podcast and changed the name, created a new topic or a new niche for it, and discovered that it was better, but still a little bit it wasn't there yet. Then I created this podcast, which is the Gentleman Talk Show, and I feel like it's way better. But now that I have it, now it's time to kind of develop it into a talk show. And so I hope that you and all your friends, and I hope that you spread the word, enjoy this podcast because it's going to be crazy. It's going to be awesome. We're going to represent all men from the whole world. And yeah, you can comment, you can say whatever you want to say. You can say that I need to work on it. I need to script my stuff out. I need to bullet point my stuff. And well, guess what? I don't care. I feel that this is the way that I'm going to go down in the podcasting world. And I hope you like the show. And if you don't like it, turn it off. Easy, simple. See, you just turn it off. Don't listen to me, and that's it. But stay tuned. Listen to me and listen to my co-host because we're going to do something that not many people do, not many men do, which is express our feelings, express the shit that we go through. Not many people do that. Not many men want to do that. They'll talk about their struggles before and where they're at now. But let's talk about the present. Let's talk about what's going on now. How many men are thinking about suicide? How many men are just contemplating leaving their families because that they think that that's the best thing to do? How many men don't want to marry uh, their beautiful girlfriend or or even get engaged because they're afraid to screw them over? They're afraid to lose everything, and for them to have and the fear of the woman having made a mistake marrying them or being with them because they feel like a failure. And it's okay. I failed many times, but I've also risen, or not risen, but I've been high and I've been low. And I can tell you that if a woman loves you, if she truly loves you, she'll stay there with you. She won't leave you. On the contrary, she makes you stronger. But it all really depends on the woman that you choose, the woman that you fall in love with. That's why you need to be careful because not all women are good for you. Some women are famous for gold digging. They just want the money. They want the luxury. They don't want anything. But then there's women who are strong, who are whose willpower is so strong that they help the men. They won't give up. Many times I've heard it said many times, and I testify to it. A man and a woman balance each other out. When it comes down to marriage, when it comes down to being a couple, the man is edified by the woman and vice versa. So my wife makes me better. My wife makes me look better. And then at the same time, I make my wife look good. But we're not here to say that we make the women look better. No. In reality, my wife makes me look good. But I have to make her look good by working for her, going to work every day, waking up early, sacrificing some time to be at work, to make some money, to bring back home, and to buy her so that she can maintain a home and buy nice things for herself. But I'm not saying that she's not allowed to work. No, that's her choice. If she wants to work, she wants to she can work. But I choose to work for her. I choose to work for my family, for my son, for her, and for the future baby that's coming. So that's just an example of what the show will be about. The show will come to express what a man should be, what a man can be. And at the same time, I'm going to express to you certain deep feelings that I've had, the the anxieties that I've had, the the doubts that I've had in my mind, the tears I've shed because of the situation that we've been in. But then at the same time, I will talk about my faith. If you if you're not a person of faith, it's okay because I'm not here to shove faith down your throat. I'm here to just help you find an escape route. You can't talk about it? Well, I'll talk about it for you. So let's do this together. So stay tuned for the next episode. My co-host will be on hopefully, and welcome to the Gentleman Talk Show.